All right, well, good morning and happy new year to my friends in Australia. This is Sean, not the guy who sews, and this is my last live for 2022, and it's been a great year. And I'm also very excited to have my good friend who's been with us quite a few times, Stephen Bland from Bland Designs and Yeti Quilter, and I'm so excited to have him here with me today. So you want to say hi to everybody, Stephen?
Yeah, I'm just switching my camera. Hi, everybody. Happy New Year. See my tear. Look at it now because it's coming off. It's messing my do.
All right, so how did you think 2022 went for you?
Wasn't as bad as 2021, but I say that with hesitation because I think 2021 we were getting kind of used to the COVID thing. You know, that was becoming the new normal. And then in 2022, we thought things were going to be much more normal, but they didn't tend to be. And then we've had, the world news with the Ukraine and everything like that. And then prices going up and nobody, trying to get stuff, But overall, I guess it was, given the circumstances, okay. Still here. So, every day above ground is a good day.
Exactly.
As they say. Oh yeah, so you've got the link there. So I'm just going to click over to the link. I didn't want you. I'm switching over my iPad to the link.
Okay.
Here, just so I can see the comments, because of course you can't see them when we're in the Zoom part.
Yeah.
Okay, there, I'm over in there. Okay. So yeah, so how was it for you?
It was decent. I mean, I had a great year here on YouTube. It was my first full year. I have met so many neat people, including yourself. And for that, I'm thankful because I'm not part of a physical guild or anything else like that. So it's been so great being able to meet so many like-minded people that, just enjoyed a lot the art of quilting and everything else. So I've had a great year.
Yeah. Well, that's something I didn't think of. Yeah. When I think now back, all the people that I've met this last year, it almost seems like, when we're talking, say, the spring, it was like it was years ago. But because I had my retreat in the spring and I had one in the fall. And I met lots of people through that. I met you this year. I felt like I've known you forever.
I know. It's felt like forever, but I mean, you reached out to me. It was the end of February because I was actually getting in my car, getting ready to go to the Mid-Atlantic Quilt Show when I saw your email.
Yeah, for the interview.
So I know exactly when you sent it.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's what I mean. I guess 2022 was a long but yet short year.
Yeah.
If it makes any sense. I don't
Absolutely.
know. See, I blame it on my age and that I'm retired. Time goes by so fast, but that might be because my memory isn't so good. So for me, it's new people every day. But I think that's Alzheimer's. But
there you go. And so we normally go live at 8 Eastern, but we started a few minutes early, and there is a reason for that. My homeland is Australia, as many of you guys know, and they are, depending on which state you're in, either 16, 15, 14 and a half, or 13 hours ahead of us. And so in about a minute, it'll actually be 2023 in New South Wales, which is where Sydney and Canberra and my hometown is. And so as much as I would have been able to love to actually broadcast the Sydney fireworks, I don't think that's legally possible for me to do, but definitely check out the show when you get a chance. I can throw a link in to where it's going to be, but the Sydney Harbour fireworks are just something you need to watch at least once in your life, and that's on my bucket list, is to actually go to Sydney one year for New Year's and watch the show live.
I have done it. I was there 2016. I was there for it. I saw them from inside the Sydney Opera House. Best New Year's Eve ever in my life. It cost us for two of us. We got tickets for the gala, which included like a champagne appetizer thing, and then we had a full formal type dinner. Food was fantastic. Then after dinner, we went into the opera house in where they do the performances, heard and the symphony orchestra. The opera company was there. They put on a spectacular show. Then at the intermission of that, we went back out into another part of the opera house and watched the kids' fireworks show at 9 o'clock, which I didn't know they did something like that, but they did.
Yeah.
Then we went back in for the second half of the show, which was even better than the first half. Then we came out, and for the fireworks, we were in a great big hall, right windows all out to the harbor, and they saw the bridge, and they had appetizers, champagne, whatever you wanted to drink. All of that was included in the price. And then we saw the fireworks show. It was spectacular. Music, that they do it all to music and everything. It's something else. And that little sucker only costs for the two of us 2,200 Canadian dollars. And you know, worth every cent. Worth every cent.
Yeah, if you're only going to do it once, especially if you're only down there once, you know, just sometimes it's better just to spend the money and do it right. And yeah, I think the price is about the same this year. I was looking at that yesterday, actually. So
it's the one advantage of when you see something in Aussie dollars for us as Canadians, it's usually pretty much the same. We're usually at par with the Aussie dollar.
Yeah, it's within a cent or two usually.
Yeah.
But I wanted to say good morning to everybody that's here with us this morning. It looks like we have about 23 people so far, which is great for, you know, early on a Saturday morning. Kay at the Purple Wall, good morning. Dawn, Bettina's here. Crafty Mate Stitches, my friend Pam from the Empty Nest Quilter. She also has a channel. She's just starting out, so if you can check that out, definitely do so. She's getting some good content. Inquisitive is here. My friend Beth from Goody Goods is here, and she'll be joining me next week here on the live, so that'll be good. Dawn's asking Beth if she ever sleeps. The answer to that is no, most likely. Joyce Baker is here with us. Sherry is here. Carrie is here, and Dee's Crafting Corner, and I think I said Cheryl already, but if I didn't, I did. Oh, our buddy Adam is here with us this morning.
Oh, hello, Adam.
Yes, Mr. Adam is here. And then my good friend Martha's Creative Life is also here with us this morning. And she'll be with us again next month, which will be always fun. And then Pepsi Girl 1956 is here from the UK as well. So we have folks from at least 3 different continents this morning, which I think is absolutely fantastic. Let's make this a worldwide affair. Okay, so Stephen and I decided we'd have our New Year's Eve party morning here, or if you're in Australia, New Year's Eve night, and we'll be hanging out till at least when Queensland heads over to 2023. So we're going to have 2 New Year's parties in the space of an hour. But we decided we're going to bring some whips with us. And so do you want to show us what you're working on, Stephen?
Well, I'm pulling my hair out on what I'm working on. This should be so simple, but my motto is, if it's simple, do it the most complicated way you can possibly find. So if you've watched my channel, you know that Stephanie and I did a collab and opened up the Missouri Star quilt Christmas box. And there were some projects in that. So Stephanie and I have decided we're going to do the projects, and then we're going to do a video, an episode where we're going to show our interpretation of each project. And the one I'm working on right now, and I'm just going to move over here to show you, is Cozy Cups Mini Quilt and Mug Rugs. And they supplied the fabric for this. It's mostly a charm pack. And they had what I thought was the background fabric for this. So I cut all my pieces. I have them here on my Missouri Star quilt tray, which is one of the gifts in the box. And I'm sewing away, and I realize that, wait, the background fabric should be white, not this reddy color that they're using. Because if I use this, which is all cut for it, the mugs and things that come up that have them in these pieces in the corner to give you the shape of the mug aren't going to show up. And I'm thinking, I didn't have enough fabric either to cut these pieces. I thought I did, And I was blaming them, going, well, they shortchanged me by an inch or something. I pieced a couple of pieces of scraps together for this. And now I realize, nope, that was probably the backing fabric. They didn't supply the background fabric, because if I looked at the stupid picture on the cover, the background is white. Why didn't I notice that? So I'm having to fix a few things here to make this work. So yeah. And it's a lot of tiny little pieces too. And I don't like working with tiny little pieces. So yeah, we'll see. So that's what I'm working on.
It happens though, you know, I'm like, no one is perfect, least of all me. I make those sort of mistakes all the time. And I'm not afraid to admit it, you know, like, yeah, just because I have a channel and I make quilting videos doesn't mean that I'm perfect. So
and that's why I call myself the idiot quilter, because
yeah, well, you have to do one more idiot thing this year, I guess.
I do them a lot on a regular basis. I'm surprised I ever get a quilt done.
Oh well, it's all, and to me it's a learning experience. Yeah, I learned something from every quilt. So someone did mention they love my shirt, and I do too. It was actually a Christmas gift from my mother-in-law. So I got like 4 or 5 quilting shirts for Christmas, which is what I was hoping for. And I know Stephen can probably relate to this, and Adam as well. It's not easy to find quilting shirts that are, you know, suitable for a man. I mean, most of them are so floral and definitely designed for a lady. You know, like I remember I went to the quilt show earlier this year, and I found one shirt that I would happily wear, and the rest were like, no, I can't do it, you know. But you know, it is what it is. Yeah. So yes, Martha, you did say hi. Goody Goods Beth said we learn more from mistakes and mishaps than anything else. Yes, because you make that mistake and you don't want to make it a second time. I mean, yeah, you absolutely learn from that stuff. Joyce Baker says we need an idiot quilters group. I could be a member. So there you go. You could have yourself an I'll sign up too, you know, like I'm not afraid.
Great, a whole group of idiots. Yep.
This might be a good marketing ploy for you, you know. I think that'd be great. I think you'd have a lot of members, you know, like we could sit there and show our mistakes, you know, we can all have a bit of a chuckle about it and we can learn from it, you know. Like I think that's a great idea. Apparently Martha's going to join the idiot group as well. Adam says he just gets mugs, and I don't know how many more I can cope with in my tiny kitchen. We have a rule in our house. We have like a mug hanging thing in the kitchen. And once that thing gets full, if we get more mugs, one has to go.
That's a good philosophy.
Yeah, it works out well. Otherwise, we'd have like 700 mugs. Okay, so what I'm working on today is a project that I started earlier in the year. Is these popsicle blocks. It was a block swap that I did with Alicia at Quilts on Tour. And I was part of a group of 12, and each person made 12 of these and sent them out. So I've got mine and 11 others. So I've got this one. And then this is the one I made with the chocolate. And then let's see, that one. And then this one is from my friend Courtney from Pieces, Love and Quilting. I don't think she is here this morning. That one. And this one. Hopefully I'm not going too quick, but you know, we need to get to some sewing soon rather than me just sitting here showing blocks all morning. Go, we're almost done. I think we've got 3 more. That one. All right, Adam says he has about 700 mugs.
Oh.
So if you want to send Adam a gift, mugs probably not the best idea. He has plenty. So I'm going to sew these together into a small quilt. I was sitting here trying to figure out what to do with them. And my wife said, why don't you make it, you know, a small quilt? You have a niece and it's about the right size for a crib quilt. So that's what we got to do. And then if we get finished with that, I have my somber quilt that I need to finish. Whoops, now I'm dropping stuff. So I've got plenty to keep myself occupied for a while.
Oh, yeah. So, have you got, are you one of those kind of people that, for quilting makes a list of the quilts you want to do in the new year?
No, because what I want to do now and what I want to do in 6 months is going to be two different things. So I try and plan quarterly. You know, I've got an idea of what I want to do in the next 2 or 3 months, because as soon as Elizabeth Hartman or Art East Quilting Company comes out with something new, I'm going to want to do that. So I don't want to plan too far in advance.
Right. I kind of do. I make a list, but I know that I am not going to stick to that list because,
There you go. That's too.
Yeah. So, I mean, I have a whole bunch of projects that I've got all laid out. I've got the fabric picked for them. They're in project boxes. In some cases, the fabric is cut too. But I was going to get to those a little earlier this year. I didn't. So that's what I mean. I don't, I just make a list, and if I get to it, I get to it. If I don't, well, I don't.
Yeah. Yeah, my goal this year was I had like 3 or 4 quilt kits that I had bought from Craftsy back in like 2017, 2018.
Right.
And I wanted to get the quilt tops done on that. And I don't know I'm going to quite finish it, but this is the last of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, you're making headway.
Oh, I'm very happy because I had what the bear paw was like a quarter done. The solar flare was not touched. The well, I forget what it was called. There was another one that was like partially done. So yeah, I had 4 of them and I got 3.85% of it done. So I really cannot complain.
You did well. And speaking of the bear paw one, I bought an AccuQuilt die for cutting those pieces out, and that's one of my things on my list to do next year, because I've always wanted to do a bear paw. And yeah, so we'll see if we get to that this year. Oh God, I'm just doing this. I'm just making a mess.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing about a bear paw is once you make 1 or 2 blocks, I mean, it kind of goes together pretty quickly. You know, you get used to it. And
right.
Like when I started that project, 3 or 4 years ago, I really struggled with it. But, I think I needed to put it away and sit on it for a while and get better at my piecing. And when I came back to it this year, it was so much easier because I was a much more confident and skilled quilter than I was back then. So sometimes it is a good idea if you're getting frustrated by it or you don't feel like you're doing a good job of it, maybe put it away for a little while and come back to it. Maybe you need to practice on something else first and come back to it.
I agree.
Having said that, it doesn't have to be perfect unless you're putting it at a show. It can be less than perfect. Like 95% is still a solid A, right? In your teaching career.
Very true. Very true. Well, the other die I bought 2 other dies, being very ambitious. I want to make a mariner's compass. So I had bought back probably in the summer, maybe last spring, I bought a set of templates and booklets by this Robin Ruth, I think is her name. And she has this whole system for making mariner's compass quilts. So I bought the entire system. I think it cost me about $250 Canadian for it. I have not taken them out of the package. And then I noticed that AccuQuilt actually had a die for Mariner Compass. And so I bought the die. I haven't used it yet, but so now I'm thinking, okay, I've got to make a Mariner's Compass. I'll try it with the AccuQuilt first. I might, if I have good success, I might go ahead and use the templates on the other and try that system too. But I don't know. We'll see. but I also bought an AccuQuilt die for making, and I always said I was never going to make one of these quilts. And that's a double wedding ring quilt.
Mm.
And the reason I always said I wasn't going to make one is because of the curves and everything like that. But like you just said, you know, after you get a little bit more confident on things, you come back to something like that. And I have since then done Drunkard's Path and curves. And so I know I can sew curves. So maybe I'll do the double wedding ring, but we'll see.
Yeah, that
But-
sounds good. I think sometimes having, like you was talking about, having the templates and all that sort of stuff there, I think that makes a huge difference, because I made like a circle inside a circle inside a circle block once, and it came with all the templates, and it was fairly easy even years ago. So I think sometimes having the right tools makes a huge difference as well, because every time I've tried doing circles without these templates, it's been a spectacular failure.
Mm. Yeah, I know. So yeah, those are some challenges. So have you got any challenges for yourself for the new year?
I do want to design quilt blocks. That is something that I've wanted to do for quite some time, and I think 2023 is the year that I'm going to do it. I actually have one that I was working on last night. Hang on a second. I still have to tweak it. It is not perfect. It's simple.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
Yeah, I think what I need to do with this is make this portion a little bigger, so it kind of makes the point a little better.
Mm. So I'm
Yeah.
assuming that's meant to be a heart, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not perfect. I mean, I am not Elizabeth Hartman or Art East Quilting Company by any stretch, but you know, with a bit of practice, you know, I'll make some good blocks. And
well, you got to start somewhere, right?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I have a list of ideas of what I want to do. It's probably gonna be enough for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
But you know, that's kind of something I want to do, and then just continue with the channel. Obviously, I want to get to know even more content creators and that sort of thing there as well. So yeah, there's a million plans going on. It's kind of like a little party in my head every day as to what I want to do.
Well, you know, talking about meeting more content creators, I thought the trunk show that you did was a fantastic idea, because I learned about a whole lot of people that I did not know exist. So I'm starting to go to their YouTube channels and check them out now for that. So that just opened up a whole new set of doors as far as I was concerned.
Yeah, and that was part of my goal. Is I wanted a nice mix of large and small channels, because you know, everybody knows Becker, everybody knows the marine, you know, the quilting marine, and this guy called Stephen Bland and that sort of thing there. But yeah, I also wanted to highlight some of these smaller channels that I've discovered along the way that, you know, not everybody knows about. So that way they got a little bit of exposure as well. You know,
Yeah.
like my friend Martha, and it's too early in the morning. I've only had one cup of coffee. Yeah, Lisa at Beehive Buzz and that sort of thing there. And then yeah, there's just so many cool people on that show, and it's something I will do again in 2023. And I'll be probably looking to do you know, some of the same people, but I also want to try and find new people as well. Because I got a number of comments where they, from folks that said, I really like seeing the new people, which is good, because again, that was my goal, is to have a nice mix. So I'm glad everyone enjoyed it. Thank you so much for your support on that. I'm so glad it was as successful as it was. And yeah, we'll definitely do that again in 2023 as well.
Yeah, I was just looking here at what some people are saying, and Nancy says, hi guys, hey Sean, could you explain my issue with the Sellers Club box to Stephen and see what his thoughts are?
Yes, I know what she's talking about. Her and I talked about that yesterday, and you and I will discuss that off camera later on.
Sure.
Yeah, so that's fine.
Okay.
Janine said she loved the trunk show. Beth did too, and Martha. Nancy loves my shirt. It was a Christmas gift from my mother-in-law. Laura Austin is here from Florida, and then that's where Martha is from. Let's see. Pam at the Empty Nest Quilter says it's her sewing space is a happy spot. Let's see. Adam's got to try and complete his Emperor's Will quilt this year. Well, he needs to get on that because he's only got like 11 hours left. He's got 5 hours less than you and I do. So.
Better rush it.
Martha says she loves your sewing space. I think everybody loves Stephen's sewing space. I mean, yeah, we're all jealous of that.
I do. And I think somebody was asking there, I saw earlier mentioned the quilt I've got in the background. That's a partial quilt. I'm doing a block of the month class with my local quilt store. They do it via Zoom. And it came as a kit. So I didn't have to pick out the colors or anything like that, but it's applique. All those ones that look like little leaves and that's all applique. And that's why I took the class, because I hadn't done a lot of applique before. And I kind of like doing applique. I'm surprised that I do. Of course, this is machine applique. I would not attempt it if it was hand applique. Oh God, no, there would be bloodletting. I'm really enjoying it. It's going together quite nicely. And I think it's called Color Splash. It was expensive. I was telling Sean earlier, the class and the kit cost me a total of 480 Canadian dollars. So, but I am loving it. So I think it'll look great when it's done.
Yeah, and applique, now that you speak of that, that is something that I haven't touched much this year. But I've always enjoyed it too, and I know a lot of folks are scared of it, and that's something if there's obviously desire from my viewers to do so, I would love to do applique projects and tutorials and that sort of thing there, and show people that it's not that scary. I mean, you can make some fun stuff with applique.
Are you going to do raw edge or needle turned?
I don't really know I mean, I'm assuming raw edge is where you just have you cut out the fabric and then you stitch all the way around it.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Yeah, that's what I do too. I've never tried needle turn. Needle turn, you take the edges of the fabric and you turn them under and then stitch around that. And then it looks to me quite tedious. But the end result is you have absolutely no raw edges anywhere. But I don't know if I'm up to that kind of thing yet.
Adam's chiming in here and he says that needle turn applique sounds like a form of torture. I have done it. I find nothing enjoyable.
Yeah, he's right.
I'll show you some of the stuff I've done with applique though. And to me, this might be a way for folks to start. And my viewers that have been here for a while would have seen before. But I love them so much, you get to see them again. So I suggest starting off with a block, like a small block first. Yeah, and doing something simple. Like this one here is a turkey for Thanksgiving dinner. And then something else I find helps too, if you're getting a bit, with your applique, is you can always put a very lightweight fusible backing on the applique pieces, and that kind of stops it from flopping about as much. And then you can try something a little more complicated later on if you want to, like this.
Cool.
Yeah, I've got like 60 of these blocks.
So were you just doing those randomly, or were they all going, did you plan them for a actual quilt?
They're actually planned for a quilt. They're actually for my first exchange student. It's kind of a chronicle of her year here in the US.
Ah, okay. That's
yeah,
nice.
all the different stuff we did. And I mean, I still have to finish it 3 years later. That might have to be a goal that someone needs to keep me accountable for in 2023 as well. But yeah, this is like the whole pile of them. I might do a video one day and just show each one of these, because it'll take quite some time for me to go through those. But if it's something that people are interested in, Yeah, I would love to teach or show or help people with applique because it's not especially the raw edge. It's not as scary as one thinks.
Yeah. And it's really great if you do it from batiks, because batiks don't fray.
I really haven't had an issue with it fraying. I haven't used batiks, but I really should. But yeah, I find if it's really going to be tedious, like fiddly or anything else like that, I just put a bit of fusible, lightweight fusible backing on it first. And that kind of takes care of the fraying and everything else as well. I mean, you always have scraps of fusible backing laying around. So that's also a nice, easy way to fix it as well if you don't have applique.
Yeah.
Adam says he'd like to have the Reese's Pieces, not the applique.
Yeah. By the way, Adam, check your email.
Yes, check. Must have heard us talking about him earlier.
Yeah. I'll be sending you another one later today, Adam, to remind you.
Yeah, so when you're taking a break from your project.
Yeah. Oh, I am making such a bloody mess of this very simple project.
It happens.
Oh.
Nancy says she loves applique, so I'm glad we got somebody on board with us. Yeah,
well,
let us know in the chat if you like applique, if you tried it and hated it, or if it's something that you would like to learn more about.
Well, another class that is a block of the month class that's coming up, I think early in the new year from my quilting store, is one, and it's got 3 different techniques in it. I think there's applique, piecing, and they're going to do some foundation paper piecing as well in this thing. So I'm thinking of taking that, just because I haven't done a lot of foundation paper piecing either. I've done some, but I thought, well, this would be good. I'll learn a few new techniques. And the instructor for this class, I've taken many of her classes before, and she's a really good instructor, but I call any of her projects, I call them the quilts from hell. She calls them challenging. I say, no, they're just from hell, but she's always gotten me through those. She's the one where we did the kaleidoscope quilt with, if you remember that one. That was a quilt from hell. I can tell it wasn't hard, it was tedious, very, very tedious.
Yeah, and I've had projects like that too, and it's always like, what my solution to that is, you work on that for an hour or two, and then you have a nice, easy, mindless project to go along with it. That's not something most people would want to be monogamous about.
Yeah, that's very true. I find that I do that a lot. If I'm working on something really complicated, I'll just, you get that point where you're making the same mistake over and over again. Put it aside, work on something that you're going to have success with, then come back.
Exactly. Yeah. Once I have to pull out Jack twice for the same project, it goes away for a little while, and then I pull out the mindless. That's where the what was it called? The scrappy diamond one I worked on for a while. That was so nice because whenever I got frustrated or I was pulling out Jack the Ripper too many times for a project, I just put that project away, pulled out Jack, and pulled out scrappy diamond, and away I went. So I need to find myself a nice scrappy project that's easy, so that way I can do that when things get rough. Looks like we got a few people that would like to learn more about applique. So I'll add that to my growing list of stuff I want to do in the first quarter or so, and do that because I would love to help people with that. Nancy says she also uses a fusible on the back with her applique. Mary G's says she's working hand quilting on a quilt that is all applique. It was turn under one. Oh wow. So yep, that's impressive. I'm really happy with that.
That's called patience.
Yeah. Well, nice thing about hand sewing is that you can kind of do it anywhere. You can do it on a train. You can do it on someone else's couch. Whereas you can't necessarily do that with your sewing machine. So I've got this done. I put the first couple of rows together.
Oh, that's looking good.
Yeah. And I'm not really doing any like rhyme or reason. I'm just kind of throwing stuff together in rows.
I noticed that the fabric in yours looks like a fabric that I did the Stephanie Stitches mosaic star with. It poured. Is it poured? The fabric with all the swirls in it. Do you know what that was called?
Which one? This one?
Yeah. The one with the set, this, yeah, that stripe, yeah. Is that, well, maybe it's not poured. I'm coming up closer to my screen here. Take a look.
I have no.
Nope. Nope, that's a batik. Yeah, okay, it's not what I was thinking. When I first saw it, I thought it looked like this bunch that Walter gave me last Christmas called poured that I saved for Stephanie's quilt because I wanted to show off that fabric, and it did. So
Yeah, that was such a beautiful quilt. I was looking at that. You put that on Discord the other day, and it was just absolutely stunning.
And Stephanie and I are going to do a thing together where we're going to talk about that pattern, how she did it and how I did it, and everything like that. That'll come up in the next couple of weeks or whenever.
Yeah, and speaking of nice, easy projects, that might be something I need to do myself, because I've made one block with that when she first designed the project. We did that on a live together, and I think that'd be really good, scrappy, and that's something I might actually want to do in 2023. So I'm not going to hold myself to it at this point.
Right.
But yeah, I think that'd be a lot of fun. It looks like my good friend Donna has arrived. Good morning. And then Adam says if that's the thing he likes about paper piecing, he can take it anywhere. Sewing quilt with April Sawtell, she has a channel as well. Says she loves raw edge applique. I do it a lot on my grand kiddos quilt, and she's actually going to be joining me here on my live later next month. So keep an eye out for her. Yeah, it looks like we've got some fans of both the needle turn and the raw edge here. So that's awesome.
Well, it may be more portable if you do it by hand. But if I was to go to somebody's house and work on that, they'd kick me out because there would be blood all over their walls. It would look like a murder scene.
Yeah, I don't know. Hand stitching kind of scares me, but part of me wants to learn how to do it. So it is more, because I kind of get jealous of my wife Amanda, who can take, her knitting anywhere.
Yeah.
And I'd like to be able to do that. So I might have to learn. Plus, with my state fair quilts, they want the corners to be hand stitched and mitered on the back. So I've got to learn it. If for nothing else, I've got to learn it between now and September for that. So
Yeah, you said when you got back your critique of your quilt, something that you didn't know, and I didn't know this either. You said something about sewing down the corners of the binding.
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And I was talking to Dawn from my quilt project. So she was on my channel a few weeks ago, and she's a certified county fair judge. And she said she'd never heard of it before. So it may be something that's either new or, it's Virginia, but who knows?
Did they want you to take, how the corner comes in, it's mitered on the binding, and you've got that line. Did they want you to put a stitch down along that line?
Yeah, I'll show you what they mean. Hang on. I've got it. Oh. Okay, so this is my 2021 quilt, which they didn't say anything about. So this is the mitered corner on the front. Right. And then on the back, stitched down.
So you'd run a stitch right close to that fold.
Yeah.
Huh, I've never heard of that before. I've never done that.
No, me either. And I'd never heard of it. And as even like Dawn, who's a county fair judge, said she never heard of it before. But if that's what they're telling me to do, that's what I'm, I'll do it.
I've never even thought of trying it that way. So maybe I'll give that a go. Just to see.
I think it's nice. It'll seal it down really nicely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. Well, but I've still got a few. I haven't even started those quilts yet, so we shall see.
Yeah.
All right. So Yeah, and then next Sunday, the 8th, Donna has her Zoom retreat. If you haven't heard of that already, it's going to be a fun day. So definitely sign up for that if you haven't done so already and you're interested. It's kind of similar to, I think, to what Stephen does on his Zoom retreats.
Yeah.
And you just need to send Donna an email, Donna at Handmade by Ying, and you can get in on that. I'm planning on making an appearance here and there. Okay, so Donna says it's a whip stitch to seal it. It's required here as well. Okay, so where she did her quilt show in her hometown. So all right, so Donna might have to teach me on how to do that one day.
Yeah, Donna, maybe you should put up a tutorial on your channel for that, because
Yeah.
I've seen it.
Well, I figured once I learned how to do it, I was going to do a tutorial as well. But it's also good for several people to put tutorials up, because how you explain it may resonate better with someone, and then how I explain it might work better with someone else. So
Very true.
Adam says he'd be worried about those stitches to the corner would make the corners quite rough if it rubbed against your face or something, as it makes the corner quite dense. I don't think you need to put a whole lot of stitches in there. Yeah, I need to learn more about that, and I think my friend Donna's going to be the one that's going to teach me.
Yeah.
Because she knows what it is, she knows what to do, and she won a blue ribbon of her quilt, so she obviously did something right.
Yeah, true. Oh, so much to learn still, you know?
Oh yeah, yeah. And I love learning new things, you know, like I think it's fun to learn new items, and
I agree. My belief is it keeps your brain stimulated, and you get to a certain age where you got to do that.
yeah, what, like 13?
Yeah, I wish. God, there are days when I wake up and I say, well, I'm not feeling 23 anymore. Why is that?
Yeah, I felt that way once after I went to a trampoline park.
Yeah, okay.
I realized I was not 25 anymore. I was sore for like 4 days after that. So when I took our current exchange student there and her friend a couple of months ago, I decided, I got the spectator pass instead of the jumping pass.
Yeah, well, I felt that. I had my sister and her family here Christmas Day, 8 of us for dinner, and I was literally the next day in pain from going up and down my stairs because everybody was in my rec room where we had appetizers, but we ate in the dining room upstairs, and I was up and down, taking things, putting things up and down. And the next day I said to Walter, cripes, I can barely move. Of course, it didn't help that I fell down the stairs at one point, but well, I took 2 steps at once, you know how that, and I didn't really fall, but I jarred myself. And that's when you realize you're no longer 23 with it. But I'm fine now, so that's okay.
That's good. Yeah, I fell down the stairs once a few years ago, and it was not pleasant.
No. So what did you do on Christmas Day?
I had Amanda's parents over, and we just hung out. We had our presents. We had a nice, early dinner, and we just kind of I think they might have watched football. I worked on some sewing projects. Yeah, nothing too fancy, but I enjoy a low-key day.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way now, In fact, I could have done without having anybody here, but my sister sort of voluntold me that I was having Christmas. So she's 8 years younger than me. I should have pulled the old man card on her. Said, you're still young. You're under 60. You can do it. I'm an old man.
Pull that seniority card sometimes.
Yeah. Well, it's not beneath me to pull that out, especially when I'm standing in the grocery store express lane, 8 items or less, and somebody ahead of me has 10. I become a grumpy old man. Can't you count? Can't you count? No, I'm sorry. 2 green peppers count as 2 items. You cannot categorize. And if I had a cane, I'd hit them. But
Yeah, see here there's most of the stores, or at least in my area, say about 12 items. So that way, if you have 14, you're still good.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Yeah, there's the loophole.
yeah. Well, and then I have another funny story. Years and years ago, this would have had to been 25 years ago. Like I'd go shopping with my aunt sometimes, because we like to hang out. And there it said hand baskets only. And we had 2 full hand baskets. And I went to go walk to the regular register, and she's going over to the express checkout. And I'm like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "It says hand baskets only." I was so embarrassed that day. I was like, "I'm never going shopping with you again."
Yeah. Oh, and I
Yeah,
just hate it when they sell lottery tickets at the checkouts in a grocery store, and somebody comes in and they've got like a fistful of these tickets, and they're having them all run through the machine to see if they're winners or not. And then they're buying more tickets, and they have to hand select each ticket. And it's like you're making this major life decision here on this kind of stuff. And you stand there and you wait and you wait, and you just want to like get out a rope, put it around your neck and go.
yeah, we don't get that too much at the grocery stores. I think most people go to 7-Eleven to buy the lottery tickets.
Oh, here in Canada, you can buy them everywhere. It doesn't matter.
You can get them at the grocery store, but I couldn't even tell you the last time that I saw that happen.
Oh,
But
geez.
yeah, you get 7-Eleven. Yeah, there's always someone there with the lottery tickets.
Oh.
I wanted to say good morning to Green Quilts Galore. She says, "Good morning, Sean and Steve." I'm assuming it's a her. I apologize if I got it wrong.
Yes, Green Quilts Galore is a her.
Okay. Oh, thank goodness for that, because I'm so excited that we have so many gentlemen quilters join us as well. And I just don't want, it's still early in the morning, so blaming the lack of coffee, just in case I got it wrong. Yeah, she says, yes, when hand spring down binding, the corners need to be sewn down on PEI. Okay, yeah, so moral of the story is I need to learn how to hand sew. Donna's going to teach me. And this year that won't be on my my naughty report.
Well, I'll watch the video of that, but I'm not going to say I'm going to actually try it or not.
Well,
My
you never know.
daughter's going into a show, so yeah,
Yeah.
the heck with that.
Yeah, if you're not interested, if you're not interested in the show, then you don't really need to worry about it. But I do enough bad things as it is with quilts in a show. I need to do at least 1 or 2 things that don't agitate the judges.
Yeah. True.
I do not, like you're supposed to hand stitch the back of the binding.
Oh, yeah, I don't do that.
And they haven't dinged me on it yet.
Nope, I have never hand stitched a binding since I've started quilting, and that I am never going to do.
No, I think if you're careful and machine stitch it, I think you'll be okay, because I've done it twice now and no one said a word to me. I mean, the only thing they've told me is about the mitered corners. So if that's all I've gotten dinged on, I'm doing all right. Oh, good morning, Sean from the Moldy Lasagna. You're a little late, I think. Usually here bright and early. Jazzy Joyce is here. She says, good morning, everyone. Wishing everybody a happy new year. I'm going to make more quilts in 2023. That is a wonderful goal. My goal this year was to make 10 quilts, and that didn't happen, but I made, I think, like almost 15 quilt tops. So I'm taking that as a win.
Yeah, that's a win. Well, I don't want to sound like I'm bragging, but the other day I decided to go, I keep a journal where I list each of my finished projects and the date I finished them on. So I went through my journal for this past year. I made 24 quilts, whole bunch of table runners, whole bunch of bags, whole bunch of wall hangings, whole bunch of embroidered pieces, big pieces. I did over 90 projects in the last year. I can't believe that I did that many.
Oh, that's amazing.
I'm trying to think, how did I find the time to do that? Well, that's all I do. So
you're retired. You have the advantage of doing that.
yes, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, I've got this thing called a full-time job I have to attend every day. Otherwise, they don't pay me.
Oh, God. you know, money to eat and live with is not what it's cracked up to be.
Yeah. Oh, well, maybe one day I'll become big and successful in the quilting YouTube world and I can do this full time. Who knows?
Yes, you can dream.
Dream.
Yeah.
Dawn says she hated hand sewing a sleeve onto hang. There is a way to machine stitch it, and I've almost perfected that. So that's another video I need to throw out soon. Is yeah, like there's very few tutorials on how to machine stitch a hanging sleeve on a quilt, but it can be done.
Yeah, that's another thing I avoid. Is I've done them. I've done a hanging sleeve before, but
Yeah.
you know, I buy these rings like behind me that have little clips on them and just hang them on what do you call them? Command hooks.
Yep, that works too. But yeah, for the show, and like at least our show, you need it. Some I don't think you do. But yeah. And the sad part about that is, and I discovered this when I got to drop my quilts off last year, is I misread the instructions for the hanging sleeves. And I put the hanging sleeves on the top and the bottom, and then found out you only needed that on the top. And I'm like, I wasted 2 hours putting them on the, and they never said anything to me last year. But when I dropped it off, she's like, she saw the one on the bottom. She's like, oh, I think you put it on the wrong side. And I'm like, what are you talking about? This is the bottom of the quilt. She's like, you didn't need to put one there. I was like, oh. I was like, well.
You were just covering all your bases.
Yeah, well, I figured for the bigger quilts, they wanted to have like a hanging rod down the bottom to help weigh it, you know. So, but right. I misread the instructions. I went home and read it, and I misread it. It said like it had to be to the top and the bottom of the sleeve, which to me is like, you know, common sense. Like you wouldn't just do the top of the sleeve. But,
yeah, right.
You know, whatever, you know, I misread it. I wasted time on, and yeah, but again, that's something that I will never, ever do again. So, this year or 2023, I'll only have to do it once, so that'll make it easier.
Yeah.
Dawn is asking, she says, not sure how you can do that after it's already quilted. It would show on the front. It's complicated for me to explain because you kind of have to fold the fabric a little bit, and then you do I forget what the stitch name is, but it's kind of like one where you do 3 or 4, and then it kind of tacks over to the front. It's fiddly, but it's still a whole lot easier than hand stitching it. And it hung successfully in a quilt show hole for several days. It's still hanging up here, right here. So yeah, it's I got it to work, you know. I'll go out of my way to get out of hand stitching if I can. So
oh yeah, that's me too.
So, yeah, I will work on that video soon, and because it's that I looked and looked and looked and I couldn't find one, so I just decided to figure it out for myself. Jim Bennett is here. Good morning. Pepsi Girl 1956 says, I'm just finishing hand stitching on a quilt. It has taken me since the beginning of September to make it quilted and now stitched by hand. That is the blind hem stitch. That sounds right. I think that's the one I'm thinking of. Pamela, thank you. So kind of like a hem on pant. Yes, basically the same thing.
And by the way, if I'm not rude to anybody, if you're putting anything up and you're asking me something, it's because I can't see it. Really, that readily. I've got 2 iPads on either side of the room going so I can check the conversation. But when we're in the Zoom like this, we can't see the conversation.
Yeah, that's why I have I recorded my phone that you guys are all seeing me on, and then right to its right, I have my computer, which is actually where I work from home. And that way I can watch the chat as well. So
it's like kind of like juggling.
It is, yeah. There's a lot of moving pieces in a live, and if you've never done one, yeah, you're trying to sew, you're trying to chat, you're trying to entertain everybody, read the chat, because I don't want to ignore anybody. And if I ever ignore someone, I apologize. It's not that I'm doing it on purpose. It's just, yeah, there's a lot of moving pieces, and I know I've said this a million times before, but I don't know how Tiffany and Becca and those huge channels that have hundreds of people watching, I don't know how they keep up. I mean, yeah, hats off to them. Laura Austin, has 13 projects planned for 2023, and goal is to only use fabric on hand. Wish me luck. I want to see how you do with that. It's doable. I want to use some of my stash as well, but I'm not committing to saying I'm not going to buy more fabric because I'm going to see a project that I want to do and show on the channel. So yes, I will be making purchases in 2023, but I do want to try and use from stash wherever I can. So that is an absolutely fantastic goal. And Jesse Joyce is asking, has anyone done English paper piecing the hexagons? Is it fun and easy?
No,
I've seen it being done. I don't know that I'm going to do it anytime soon, but I'm very interested in doing it someday, but I'm just not going to commit to that anytime soon because I need to learn. I want to be more, I think I'd have to be more comfortable with hand stitching before I even attempt that. I think if you're comfortable with hand stitching, I don't think it's super hard because I mean, I've seen quite a few people do it. I mean, Becca's mom sits there and does it all the time. Yeah, that's a really good point, Nancy. She says Tiffany is lucky Scott helps out so much. And I think that is the big key for a lot of these creators like Donna and where'd you go?
I'm here. I'm here. I was just switching cameras. I was going to
Okay.
say, I tried it. That's as far as I got. I even got the papers out of this one. But yeah, actually, it was kind of interesting. But yeah, no.
Janine says she wants to try EPP on a small project. Yeah, I think starting with something small is definitely the way to go. For sure. Like I wouldn't start on a king size quilt with hexies.
Oh God, no. If you want to see a beautiful one, check out Kate's quilt on the last homely house she did for her granddaughter. I think she's still doing it. It's absolutely gorgeous, and it's been taking her I don't know how many years, and now she's hand stitching it or hand quilting it.
Hey, I'm proud of her. So
That's
this is
looking great.
yeah, that's the first 2 rows. All right, so Janet Johnson is here. She's from Western Australia, so she'll be going through her new year in about an hour and 8 minutes. And then my friend Pamela will be hitting the 12 o'clock 2023 in about 8 minutes. So
Wow.
we'll have our second Happy New Year through our live in just a few moments.
Cool.
And then I think Stephanie has her live later tonight. And then I think Donna's doing one as well. If that's right, let me know. If I'm wrong on that, Donna. I will not be doing a live tonight. This is it for me for 2022. Because I am not a night owl, as many of you know.
Yeah, I'm not either, but I'm going to stay up tonight.
Okay, so it's 2 hours to go for Janet. Okay, I'm getting my times mixed up. Oh, that's right, because I'm thinking of normal time, not daylight savings time. There's 3 hours behind New South. Okay, I'm there now. All right. All right, Joyce said she made a few mug rugs, now working on a Tula pink EPP kit. Jim says he has to quilt his tops, have at least 8 to 10 to do. And that, yes, thank you for bringing that up, Jim. That is something else I want to do in 2023, and I need someone to keep me accountable, as I have this huge pile of quilt tops, and I actually need to quilt them. I need to, yeah, actually baste them, which I hate. So if there's anyone offering a basting service, let me know and your pricing, and I will consider it. And but no, all joking aside, I think I need to take my quilts into the office, use the big tables there, baste it during my lunch hour, and then I can bring it home and quilt it. Because yeah, the basting is always the part that I hate. Janet says she doesn't know if she'll last till midnight. I have that problem too, and a lot of times what I'll do is I'll take a nap about 7 o'clock, and then that way I can make it through to the end. Because Amanda likes to stay up and watch the ball drop. I always joke with her and tell her, look, you know, like New South Wales went through New Year's already, so I'm good. But yeah, it's important to her. So I'll do it for her. Chloe says she loves my t-shirt. It was a gift from my mother-in-law for Christmas. I was hoping people would buy me quilting shirts, and yeah, they hooked me up. I'm going to show them all tomorrow on the podcast, so you'll get to see them all. There were some really cool ones. All right, what am I doing here?
I've been asking myself that all morning because I do enough of making mistakes.
Yeah, and these are not lining up properly, but that's okay. That's the joy of sewing together something that 12 different people have made.
So do you have any, besides quilting in the new year, do you have any other plans? Do you have any travel plans or anything like that?
Nothing definitive.
No. We are travelers, and we haven't traveled since COVID broke out in the whole bit, and so we're getting the itch to travel. And so I think we're talking about flying out to BC in possibly April for maybe 10 to 14 days. My brother lives out there. I haven't seen him in a few years. So
Right.
He lives in Abbotsford, which is south of Vancouver. So maybe visit him and then travel around. Because we haven't been out west since about 1995. So that was last century. And then, as I was telling you earlier, the Canadian National Quilt Show is being held in Halifax, Nova Scotia this year. So we've already booked our hotel for that because I'm a member of the Canadian Quilters Association and want to go to that and then travel. We'll drive out there from here and, you know, see Quebec, go to Quebec City. I've been there in a long time, and do the East Coast as well. And then in the fall, we might make another trip to Australia.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. You know how much I love Australia. So
You should tag along.
yeah, well, fit you in my suitcase. Of course, you may not get there because the way the Canadian airlines have been going over this past Christmas season with everything, people are still trying to find their luggage and get home.
Yeah, my issue of getting to Australia is trying to find a reasonably priced premium economy seat, because I cannot sit in. I'm too tall for those regular economy seats.
Oh, right.
And I was looking a little while ago. Normally I fly United because I love their international service to Australia. But their premium economy tickets are almost $4,000. But I found one that's with ANA via Japan, and it's a few extra hours, but their regular economy seats are the same as the almost the same as the premium economy on other airlines. So that might be a viable option.
Well, I think Walter said that we have enough points that we can get at least one round ticket to Australia free.
You need to book it now, because
I know. He's already started looking into things now. The only thing is, what we're hesitating on, and you know, you snooze, you lose, is just the whole fiasco of the airports here in Canada, that, you know, they have still not got their act together. And the worst part I always find of a trip is flying. And this part of the flying part is the actual airport itself.
Yep.
You know, like it's just the one in Toronto Pearson. The number of times that we have flown out of Toronto Pearson, you think we would know the routine where you go in the whole bit. No, they keep changing it. And you go to one spot and they go, oh no, it's down at the other end of the terminal, and no signs, nobody to help you. And then you have to go through these kiosks now for boarding passes and stuff. Half the time they don't work right, or somebody's ahead of you in the line at one of the kiosks, and this is the first time for them, and there's nobody there to help them out with it, so they're completely lost. It's just horrible here in this country for trying to get around.
Yeah, for sure. I've never been to Toronto's airport, so I don't know. Thankfully, I've avoided that mess.
You haven't missed anything, I can tell you. And you see, we also in this country, we do not have the selection of of carriers that you have in the States. I mean, basically, we have only really two main airlines, and they both suck: Air Canada and WestJet. There are some budget ones there too, but they're actually, well, a lot of people don't realize they're actually owned by Air Canada and WestJet.
Right.
And they're supposedly even worse. I think Air Canada, of all the airlines in North America, was rated as, I think, the worst one, on a thing I heard on the news the other day.
Okay. I flew with them once, and I guess I must have caught them on a good day because, yeah, they were fine with me.
Well, the actual being in the airplane and that is fine. Usually it's getting on it through the airport and the whole bit. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, I mean, because I flew from Sydney to Washington with them via Vancouver, and I mean, this was 21 years ago as well, so that might have something to do with it.
Yeah, probably back then when they gave a shit. Like, yeah, I don't know. Okay, what have I done wrong?
All right, well, good. Happy New Year to anyone in Queensland, Australia, which would be my friend Pamela. And I don't know if there's anyone else here from Queensland, but if it is, Happy New Year, and I hope 2023 is good to you. It's always interesting that, you know, we're sitting here in North America and it's 9 o'clock in the morning Eastern and earlier for anybody else West, and we're sitting there celebrating the new year in New South Wales, Queensland. If you're in New Zealand, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning on January 1st already.
Yeah.
Pamela says, oh my gosh, it sounds like someone is shooting a gun. They're probably out there with fireworks. They do that here as well. Fireworks are not legal in Virginia, but it doesn't stop anybody. We usually have to put the 3 dogs out fairly early because we don't want them to get spooked. Janet says she's off to England in August flying with Singapore Airlines. I've heard nothing but good things about Singapore Airlines, so I think you'll do well with them.
Well,
and then,
if Singapore Airlines is anything like Singapore, the country, they probably are good. We've been to Singapore. Fantastic place. I mean,
I want to go there.
Clean, love it. Absolutely loved it.
I think Singapore, Shanghai. I forget what the name of the airport is, but it's consistently voted the best airport in the world. So yeah, you'll enjoy your experience there. There's like a huge like garden thing in the middle of the airport. Apparently, I've never been there, but I really, really want to go see it at least once in my life.
Yeah, yeah, it must have been Singapore that we flew into. It was a cruise we were taking, but we went a few days early so we could see Singapore. So we must have flown into Singapore Airport, but I'm trying to remember. It must have been great because I have no complaints. I usually remember the bad things, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Good morning, Marge. She's here with us again. She's from Brisbane, and she says that airport is amazing. I'm not going to try and pronounce the name of it again because I know I'm going to butcher it. So. All right, we're almost done with this quilt top.
I don't think I'm ever going to get finished these stupid mug rugs.
Yeah, I am not entering this into a show because I mean none of the seams match up or anything else. Good morning, Mona. Good to see you. Glad you could join us this morning. And I'm so glad everyone is joining us. It looks like we have almost 60 people here with us this morning, which is absolutely, yeah. When I started this Saturday morning live, I was like, if I can get like 10 or 15 people on a Saturday morning, I will be doing well and I'll be happy, you know.
Yeah.
But I just didn't know how many people would show up to something this early.
Well, Now you know, you see.
Yep. But I figured, you know,
They love you. They really, really love you.
and I so appreciate that, you know, and like I figured, you know, all the nighttime, you know, those things were taken. And I'm not a night person. I'm a morning person. I like to get up and so early in the morning. So I figured, you know, we'll see what happens, you know, like, and it's been a great experience. And got to meet so many neat people through this, you know.
Yeah, you know, I was watching a Netflix documentary on Xanax, which is, you know, if people suffer from anxiety or this kind of stuff, they seem to prescribe that a lot to them. And they were talking about all the problems with that and other related drugs and stuff, and how people, like, because of COVID and stuff, were much more anxious and going through depression and stuff. So they had all this. Well, and they talked about one of the things to get people off the Xanax and that is to increase their social contacts. That really helps with their anxiety and stuff like that. And I got thinking, well, I guess then we might as well call Zoom and what you and I have been doing in that over the last year or so with these kind of things. I guess we are the electronic version of Xanax, because I love getting together with other people on Zoom. And you know, I've made a lot of friends, even though I've never met these people face to face, but on Zoom, and I really feel that they are friends.
Sure, yeah, and I feel the same way. Like, I've met so many neat people this year that I wouldn't have met otherwise. And yeah, you and I haven't met physically yet, but I will make the trip to Toronto one day, because I want to go back to Toronto again.
You come to Toronto, we'll show you a good time.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, no, I'll be. Yeah, because I want to go back to Rogers Centre and see another game.
I haven't been in there in years with that. But you see, I'm not a sports person. So, you know, and the only thing I ever saw in there, I think I went to a Blue Jays baseball game last century in it and saw it. And that's the only game I sort of understand is baseball.
Yeah, that's the game I like to watch. And my goal is to visit all 30 stadiums. And I think I've been to 6 so far, so I've got 24 more to do, but I've been to all of them in Canada. You go to Rogers Centre once, you've succeeded in that goal.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. But there's lots to see in Toronto. I mean, we live close to Toronto, like we're only
like an hour or so
from downtown to Toronto, but we don't go anymore. Like, we have some friends that live downtown. We went there just before Christmas for dinner at their place. And I don't think we've been in downtown Toronto since before COVID. I think that was the last time, because we had them out here during COVID, because Toronto, every corner was like someone was hacking up a lung. You didn't want to go anywhere near it. So, but yeah, well, yeah, you ever come out here, you make sure you let me know about that in advance. Because
well, you are one of the first people I would tell, because I want to meet you face to face and, you know, have a beer together or something like that. So yeah, you'll definitely you'll definitely know about that. And it looks like I've got some viewers here that live far from me. It looks like Weeby is in King William, which is not far from me at all. And then someone said they're in Richmond, Leslie G. So yeah, especially for you two, if I'm going to be at the Mid-Atlantic Quilt Show at the end of February in Hampton, so definitely make the trip down. I mean, I would love to meet both of you there. Janine asked if I've got to see the Yankee Stadium, the old one. No, Yankee Stadium I haven't made it to yet. I've tried to get there a couple of times, and then every time we go to New York, you know, by the time the end of the day comes, the whole family is exhausted. So we haven't made it to Yankee. I've driven by the new Met Stadium. But the thing I really enjoy about the baseball stadiums is the games are great, but I also love going to do the baseball tours where they take you like behind the scenes. You get to go into like the press boxes, the club suites, the bullpen. Sometimes you get to go into the visiting clubhouse if they're on the road, and you just get to learn the history of these teams through these tours. And it's just a wonderful way. I've done like 4 or 5 of those already. And that's something I'm really, really interested in doing. Like Boston, the prices for those games at the Red Sox Fenway Park is absolutely ridiculous. I don't think I'll ever see a game there, but I would love to see a ballpark tour there to see, behind the scenes. I did it in Pittsburgh last year, Washington, Baltimore, Denver. I've been, to those, and I love the tours. The tours for me are sometimes just as good as the games. Let's see. Janet says, beer together, spoken like a real Aussie, Sean. Yes.
Well, that's pretty Canadian too, so.
Absolutely. And then, Pamela says, once an Aussie, always an Aussie, doesn't matter where you go. Amen to that. That is definitely so true. Mona says, a lot of my favorite YouTube creators live in Canada. And I agree with that. I mean, there's some wonderful YouTube creators in Canada, including this guy I know called Stephen Bland. And that was something that people mentioned a lot during the Quilt show last week, is that they loved seeing the so many Canadian creators, which was, unintentional, but I think that was good. And that's something I would like to try and get even more of next year as well, showcase, the Canadian ones. And I'm trying to get in contact with different people in Australia too, because that's, I had Kendall Taylor join me, but that was the only person from my homeland that was, but next year we'll see what we can do. We'll try and get some more. I think Pamela will probably join me next year. And that sort of thing there. Mama Pop Quilt Shop, yes, I reached out to them about that project and haven't heard back from them. So, but I would love to have Mama Pop Quilt Shop join me here one day. They're definitely someone I would like to talk. And then Kate from the last Homely House, I've talked to her briefly, and hopefully we can work out something where she can join me as well. Because I know you interviewed her earlier. Was it this year?
Yeah, it was this year. She was on my spring retreat. She's wonderful, absolutely wonderful.
Yeah. So she's on my wish list along with Mom and Pop. And there's quite a few that are on my wish list. And we'll see. Some people can join me, some can't. I know 8 o'clock Eastern is pretty early for a lot of folks. It kind of cuts out the West Coasters because that's like well before sunrise for them. But we'll work something out. But I don't know if I showed, the quilt top is now done.
Oh, wow. Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, I'm really, really happy with this. So it is not perfect. The seams do not line up. But, when you have 12 different people make these blocks and you're trying to put them all together, it's very hard. I mean, I could have put sashing in between and everything else, but I just like, no, I'm just going to put it together and keep it as is. So
a man on a galloping horse going 3 miles an hour will never notice that.
Exactly, that's how I feel. Janet suggested Amanda at 3 3/4. I have reached out to her and have not heard back. I would love to have Amanda. I mean, I think she's a wonderful person. I love her channel. She does a lot of neat stuff. I mean, I guess I can always try again, but unfortunately, have not heard anything back from her. But she would be a great addition to the team. Jeanette, sorry?
I've had some that I've reached out to and I never hear anything from them. And so you don't know, one, did they get the message? Or two, are they just too busy to answer you or whatever? And I very seldom send them a second one because I don't want to bother them. I mean, if they don't want to be interviewed, they don't want to be interviewed. That's fine or whatever.
I find the bigger channels are more likely just to ignore you. But I know when you sent me the email, you said, let me know either way. And that's what I put in mind now as well.
Yeah.
And some folks, just don't respond. But, like you try, and if it works out, great. And if not, I guess it's just not meant to be. And that's cool.
Yeah, that's whatever the reason is, but it would be nice to know one way or the other,
Yeah. And I had some people read, I asked, about the quilt project, and some of them did come back and go, Chris, the holiday season is crazy, thank you, but no. And that was cool because at least I could go, yep, okay, well,
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's great. Teresa Down Under, I'll have to check that channel out. I don't think I've reached out to her yet. But yeah, I would love to have some more Aussie creators. So if anyone has any connections of some Australian creators, yeah, definitely mention me, because I would love to have them. And it's going to be easier in March once we go spring forward again, because right now it's kind of late for the Aussies, but yeah, we'll work something out. Janine says, do I have a link from Amanda 3 and 3? I've reached out to her. Maybe I need to send her an email, because yeah, sometimes when you message folks on Instagram, I think their messaging system's kind of crappy, because it doesn't really, you hear back from them like 3 months later. Oh, I just saw this, and I've had that happen to me too. So that could be half of my problem. But that's that. So yeah, I've finished this, which is awesome. And so now I just need to baste it and bind it and quilt it and all that good stuff. And then I'll probably end up shipping that down to my niece, along with the koala quilt that I haven't done anything with yet.
I was going to ask you what you were going to do with it. So it's a gift. So that's nice. She'll love that.
Yeah.
I have decided that this year I'm going to donate some quilts to Project Linus. Because I just have too many quilts piled up. I gave away at Christmas this year a pile of them. It's funny. Walter's niece has a Doberman, and her Doberman was attacked by 3 pit bulls that were not on leashes in her neighborhood, and they really messed her dog up. And this dog is just so gentle a little bit. Now he's going through, PSD or whatever they call that, after it all. And so that, I don't know if you remember, but I made the ugly quilt, the one I called ugly, which was the Tula pink flannel stuff, and found out afterwards she actually based it on ugly sweaters. It was sort of a tongue-in-cheek design. And I tried to fancy it up with some embroidery on it, some gnomes. And so I decided I was giving his niece a quilt. So I gave her a quilt, and I gave one for Freddie, the dog. And I didn't see his niece. We were over at her mother's place, and I took them over there, and she picked them up. She sent us an email, and Walter said, actually, she sent it to Walter, and she said, I don't know if you're going to be insulted by this or not. He said to me, but his niece said, thank you for the quilts. I don't know which one's the ugly one. And I thought, okay. So I said, well, pick the one you like best and give the other one to the dog. I don't care. But I guess it was a compliment.
Yeah. All right. So Nancy says you can set your email that shows that they've read. That's true. Mona says I can always do a premiere instead of a live. That's definitely a good idea. That might be something I need to look into for some of these folks on the West Coast in Australia and stuff. And then I'm writing down the ones that you're suggesting, the Stacey Lee Creative, and let me just look at my piece of paper. Hang on. Teresa Down Under. Yeah, so thank you for suggesting those, because I'm going to definitely reach out to those people as well and see what I can find out. Kay's asking you, Stephen, did you see a message about a possible gnome along?
A possible, what was that?
Gnome along?
A gnome along? No, I didn't see that message. I don't think not a gnome along. Oh, what do you got in mind?
It's from Kay at the Purple Wall. She said a message about, oh, maybe it was further up in the chat. Hang on a second. You may want to resend that message, Kay. Yep, so now that I'm done with the popsicle thing, I'm going to work on my somber quilt a little bit. Mona says that your sewing space is beautiful, Stephen, which everybody agrees with.
Yeah, used to be my craft room. Gutted it, made it my sewing room. Put this new island in and everything like that. I have a few other plans for it. I've got some mismatched plastic, shelving or drawer kind of things and that. I want to go and get IKEA ones for that instead. Yeah, I'm lucky I have this space, but I've always had this space. For almost 28 years we've been in this house, and this house came with this space already in it, finished. And we added the counters and the bookshelves and everything like that to it. And then people go, because Walter has a fan club, right? And
Yes.
so his fan club are always like, oh, poor Walter, where's his room? Well, he has one upstairs. It's one of the bedrooms. It's a smaller room, a lot smaller room. But I said to him when we first redesigned this room, I said, do you want space down here? He says, God, no. He says, I don't want to be sewing while you're sewing. So he's happy. He likes to cocoon. He's all about, that. See, I'm a claustrophobic. I need a lot of space around me. He's the exact opposite. He loves to be cocooned, and you can't move the sewing room. He uses the floor. He hasn't figured out yet that floors are really not storage space, but for him, they are. So
Whatever works,
Yeah. He's not here right now because he's in bed still. Like, oh God, yeah, he'll be in bed for another 3 hours. So he is not a morning person.
Yeah. Yeah, Kay said she commented on one of your recent videos, Stephen. You may want to send him a message about that when you get a chance.
Usually I get notifications. If you put it in a comment, it'll come to my email. And to be honest, I must have missed that. I don't know how I did, but send me another message about it, Kay, an email or whatever. And yeah, I'll look at it and think about it, contemplate.
Quilting Compound is asking, what machine do you have? Is that directed at myself or Stephen or both?
There are several machines in here. This sewing machine is a Janome M7, Continental M7. And this is my Janome 550E embroidery machine. And one you can't see because it's off camera is my travel machine, which is a Janome Skyline S7. And then there's a serger over there too, which is an air thread Janome serger as well, the 2000D. Yeah, a lot of machines down here.
I only have two. This is my brother. It's an XL 2600. It's a beginner machine. My wife bought it for me 9 years ago. Yeah. But I love it for piecing. I'll use it as long as I can until the thing breaks. Laura Austin wants me to ask you how you like the new sewing chair.
I absolutely love it. They're expensive because I think I bought it at my local quilt store, and I think that was something like 350 Canadian dollars. It's by Arrow. And it is the most comfortable chair I have ever had. I was sitting on a stool, basically like a sewing stool. It's what I had, and it was adjustable and everything. And I was finding after I'd been sewing for a while, when I got up off that stool, my back was hurting and sort of pains down my leg. And I didn't put much faith in this idea of spending this kind of money on a sewing chair because I thought, yeah, it's just another chair. Then I was at a retreat, and one of the ladies at the retreat had brought this chair with her, and I asked if I could sit in it. When I sat down, I went, oh, yeah, love it. And the reason is, the way it's designed, the back on this chair, I don't know if you can see it, but it actually is positioned this way. Well, hard to get it. This back actually goes in a little bit, so it supports your back. The seat of the chair is a little shorter, so it doesn't cut you off on the knees. And it's nicely padded, but it's a firm padding. Excellent. Excellent chair. I don't have any pain. And now it doesn't matter how long I'm sitting in this chair. I do not get up and go, stiff. You need to stretch. And the other thing that I did to help with it too was I raised my foot pedal. You can't see it, but I have a box underneath my foot pedal that brings it up about 5 inches, 6 inches up off the floor. And for my height and on that chair, it's perfect. I'm not like my foot isn't going way out on an angle kind of a thing because it's sliding away. I've got it on some stuff to keep it from sliding. And it's great. No pain whatsoever anymore. So I highly recommend it if you're having, back issues or leg issues with it as well. And here's another tip. Just did this. Your cord, not the power cord, but the cord that attaches your foot pedal into the side of your machine, the one that's got the little plug kind of a thing in that, those suckers are too short. And I always like the way I have mine positioned and where the outlet is, it just makes it. And I didn't like the fact that there's a bit of tension in that because I figured, over time you're moving your pedal around, it could, cause you some grief. So I asked at the local quilt store, is there an extension kind of cord you can get for it? No. But then I got watching something on YouTube and someone recommended you can just use an audio extension plug, like the kind of thing you use for your headphones. And it didn't matter where you got a stereo or a mono one. So Walter had one in his electronic stuff, plugged it in, works like a charm. So I ordered 2 more from Amazon, one for my other sewing machine and one for Walter's sewing machine upstairs. Great. Now I've got like lots of cord on it. So when I go to a retreat, sometimes, the table heights or things, might not be, you might be pushing your cord for your foot pedal to the limit. So now, and I mean, you can buy these things. I got 2 of them on Amazon for like under $9 Canadian. So just a little tip. Nobody, maybe I'm the last person in the world to know this, but apparently my person at Ultimate Sewing didn't know this either. So I sent her a text message. She says, guess what? If anybody asks you, tell them this. This is how it works. So yeah.
That's really neat. And I mean, thankfully, I guess I must have the 2 sewing machine models that have long foot, because I haven't had that problem.
No, it depends on, where your outlet is, where your foot's positioned to your machine. But you see my cord comes out from the side here and goes down this edge and then under and over to my pedal. I mean, if I had just put it with the cord straight out here down, it wouldn't have been a problem. But I didn't want that cord in my way when it was there. That's why I do it the other way. And the problem I noticed when I go on a sew day, which we're going on one on next Saturday, that's done by Walter's, the guy who teaches his online classes. The tables they have there are just those, standard folding tables. And I find that there's just not enough. I just can barely make it to my foot pedal under the table because I like to run my cord behind my sewing machine and under the table, not in front, because I'm a klutz and I get my feet tangled up in it. So now I don't have to worry about it because I got the extension and it works. So
that's great. I'm glad you found a solution for that. I wanted to say good morning to Becca. She jumped in just to say hi. So it's always good to see you. Thank you for joining us this morning. And for everybody else that's here today, it's great. The quilting compound, if you get a chance, can you send me an email, the guy who sews at gmail.com? I would love to have you here as a guest one morning, but I haven't been able to find your contact information. So if that's something you're interested in, please send me an email or get in contact with me so we can try and work something out for you. But we might go ahead and wrap this up in a few minutes, Stephen, because we're probably going to go out and do some stuff later on in the morning.
yeah.
But I've had a blast. It's always good sewing with you and chatting with you. It's yeah,
I always do as well. I love doing this with you as well. And just for everybody out there, Sean and Adam sews and Stephanie stitches and myself, we have some collab. We're working on the process of planning for sometime in the near future. Adam, if you're still on here, check your emails.
He was going to. He said he was really busy with work. He's got it buying a new car.
Yeah.
And all stuff. So yeah.
Excuses. Cry me a river. Here's a violin, a little one. No, I'm joking. But yeah, I know, Adam. I know I forget about you people who still have like jobs. Really? Good God.
Oh, it's sad, right? Honestly, it's always a good time with Stephen and Sean. Thank you for that. Yeah, I always enjoy hanging out with Stephen. That's why I keep inviting him back. So
well, watch out, Toronto, if you ever get up here between the two of us. That city's never going to be the same.
no. Problem is that when I go to Toronto, I'm probably going to go for like a month because I know so many people up there with my work. You know, like all my customers, a lot of my customers are based in Toronto. So in addition to seeing you and everyone else, I probably have to go like make the rounds. So
Yeah, well, you're Mr. Popularity, aren't you?
yeah,
For someone who claims he's an introvert. Yeah, right.
but, but that's something like, you know, introverts are one of those things where you think that we don't like to talk, but that's not the case. It's like we don't like small talk. Like, you know, that to us is draining. But, you know, if you talk to us about something we enjoy, we'll talk your ear off. So that's where I've thrived with this is that,
Yeah.
you know, I love talking about quilting and most people you know, I work with and, you know, family and everything else, they don't get it.
Yeah.
It's their thing. So it's been so wonderful having this group and this community to sit there and talk to. Like I was chatting with Pamela and a few other people the other night, and Amanda's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Well, I'm talking to this person, and this person, and this person." She's like, "I thought you were an introvert." And I was like, "Yeah, but you know, I talk about stuff that I want to talk about."
Yeah, I know. I agree with you on that too, you know, because I really, if it wasn't for this kind of thing or whatnot, like I don't know anybody with the exception of like the ladies at my local quilt store. I don't know anybody else who quilts. In fact, I've been thinking about putting out a plea on Facebook for my area to see if there's any other guys out there that are closet quilters or whatever, and start our own little group kind of a thing.
Yeah, I thought of doing that too, but then I was like, you know what? You know, with my full-time job, my YouTube channel,
Yeah.
you know, my family time and everything else, I don't think I have the time to do that. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a great idea. Like um, if you can do that, I mean, I think you'd get people that would join you.
Yeah, if I can find them.
Yeah, well, put it out there and you know, see what happens. But I just don't think I have the time for it. You know, I think that'd be something I'd get myself into and then have to quit. Um,
True.
you know, a little bit into it. But I think, you know, if you've been retired, I think that's a great idea. I hope you do it.
You know, I'm definitely thinking about it. So I'll see. I'll see. I'll let you know.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so Janet's asking you what sort of chair did you have?
Before,
No, now.
it's by Arrow, is the name of the company. If you just plug into Google Arrow chairs, you will find their website. They have a lot to choose from, but this is the one. I'm not sure what the model is, but you'll know as soon as you see it what it is. It's got the low back to it. It's kind of boxy looking and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And a lot of quilt stores, if they have any furniture at all, this is one of the brands that they deal with. It's very popular.
Yeah, I think I've seen them at the quilt shows, like the Mid-Atlantic Quilt Show. I'm pretty sure I saw the Arrow chairs there.
I think
Thankfully,
on Amazon too.
yeah, I think it's one of those things I'd like to go like test out, like go sit in it, hang out. I don't think that's something I'd want to go buy on Amazon, especially since I have the quilt show so close. You know, it's 20 minutes up the street.
Yeah.
I don't think I need a quilt chair at the moment. I'm just using a dining room chair and I don't have the back issues, but I know as I get older, it's going to become a problem. And so when the time comes, yeah, that's something I will go do. I'll go either to the quilt shop or a quilt show and go sit in them and hang out for a while and just, you know, yeah, because like you said, it's, you know, $300 or $400, but you know, if it's going to save you back and it allows you to actually do your hobby, I think it's well worth it because, you know, we think nothing of spending several $100s, if not thousands on a sewing machine. So why not the same thing for your back? So you can actually enjoy it. Like that's the thing. It gives you the time to actually enjoy the hobby that you enjoy so much. So yeah, I hate spending money. Anybody that knows me reasonably well knows that, but I think that's something that, you know, if you have a need for it, just do it. Like save the money and do it so that way you can actually enjoy what you want to do.
Yeah.
If you haven't got the money, don't. Yeah, if you can't afford it, like if that's, you know, if you have to choose between that and your groceries, buy the groceries. But
Yeah, true. But you
yeah,
gotta come to, you're right. You need to try them out because for me, I am not a tall man. I'm only 5'6". So my problem is I get into chairs and my feet literally won't touch the floor.
Mm.
And so when I tried this out, it fits me perfectly. It is adjustable up and down. But I think for you, because you're so tall, I don't know if this chair would be right, because I'm sitting at it right now with it up as high as it will go.
Right.
And I don't think that would be right for you. I don't know. So you have to try them out before you
sure.
test that.
Yeah. I mean, if you're replacing one, go on that, you can go buy it online. But I think like you said, the first one, I think you really, really, really need to go try it out for yourself, because like Cheryl Colley said, she may be weird, but she didn't like the chair she used at the Soya retreat. Every chair is going to be great for someone and not for someone else. I mean, there's definitely going to be a chair out there for her, which may not be the same one as everybody else. I mean, sometimes I'll sit and stuff. Like, we got new office chairs at work and I don't particularly like it. So I'm still using the old one that's 12 years old, because I prefer that one. I'll probably switch over at some point, but until I get comfortable with it, I'm using the old one because I love that thing.
Well, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Exactly. They've got it there. It sits in the corner. Like if the old one finally breaks, I'll start using the new one. But until then, I'm not worried about it.
Sure.
Ange Soz is here. Good morning. It's always good to have you with us. She's been a long time supporter of the channel. I always love hearing from her and everybody else. And I know I'm still trying to catch up on comments. So if I haven't responded to you, I can assure you I've read it. I have to have a chance to respond. So thank you for bearing with me on that. But I think we are pretty much done, I think, for this morning, because we got to take the girls out. I think we got to go to the art museum later today and show. We got a really good art museum nearby. We figure that'd be a good day, something good to do today since it's raining. So that'll be a fun activity this afternoon.
And it's raining here too.
Oh, okay. Well, at least it's warm. It's not, below freezing right now. So I'll take that.
Yeah. Well, this has been great. I've really enjoyed it. Even though I spent the whole time trying to make a little piece for a mud rug. I don't even use mud rugs.
I do on occasion. I've made one or two and they've been fun. But yeah, I actually got my quilt top done. So I'm super excited about that. And part of my summer quilt, I don't think I'm going to quite finish that this year, which I wanted to, but we got pretty close. So with that, thank you all. Happy New Year to those in Australia that have already passed into 2023. I know Janet will go through in about an hour and 20 some minutes. And then for the rest of us in North America and Europe, I hope you all have a great new year. I'll be back on tomorrow morning with my podcast as usual. Steve, you'll have your
tomorrow I'm actually doing an all-day sew day, and you'll find this as a Zoom. It starts at 8 a.m., but you can come and go as you please, whatever time works for you if you're interested. And you'll find the link for that in the show notes of any of my videos that I've put up in the last week or so for that. And we will be doing Stephen and Walter live in conjunction with that tomorrow afternoon at 4 p.m. I'm hoping the technology works because I'm trying something new. So anyways, that's coming up.
Okay. Teresa would like you to show her what you did today.
What I did today.
I think she's asking you, but she might be asking me, so I'll show mine off as well.
Okay.
Just to be safe.
I'm going to switch my camera. So
okay. So I worked on, while he's doing that, I'll show mine. This is my popsicle swap block that we did earlier this year. And I put all of them together. I got blocks from 11 other people. And I also put mine in there. So this is going to be like a nice little crib quilt. I'm going to bind it and quilt it and all that good stuff at some point soon and send it on to my niece. And this is the one that I made here with the chocolate. And then these are the ones by the 11. I think it was all ladies. All together. I just put them in randomly. And then this one down here in the bottom right was for my friend Courtney at Pieces Love and Quilting. But the rest of the ladies, I don't know to have channels. So do you want to show us what you worked on today?
And I'm working on, I think you have to switch the camera, or are you just on
Yeah, the gallery view disappeared. I don't know why it's not showing that today.
Oh, okay. That's weird.
It is problem before. Just keep talking, it'll switch over to you.
Okay. So I'm working on this. This is one of the projects that was in the Missouri Star Quilt Christmas box. And it's called Cozy Cups Mini Quilt and Mug Rugs. So I realized I cut the wrong fabric for the background, so I had to kind of go back and redo. So all I've gotten done so far on this is 3 of these, which will become, I think, mugs or something, or in one part of this, and 3 of these. Because this is where I blew it. I put the wrong color on the bottom part, and it would not have worked out very well. So I had to rip some of those out. Some of them I tried to sew over top of it, which didn't work all that well. So I tried to do a shortcut. Shortcut didn't work. So that's all I managed to get done. And it's a simple project. Really, I'm an idiot.
True mug rug. It's cute. So yeah, these things happen. Sometimes I get a lot more done on the lives than I want to, and most of the time, I hit snags just like you. So it's okay, stuff happens.
Yep, it happens.
I better run away and go back the rest of my day. But thank you again for joining us. It's been great. It's been wonderful having you to help me finish out the year.
Yeah, well, Happy New Year to you and to everybody else out there. It was great today. I enjoyed this very much.
And we'll definitely have Stephen back on the channel sometime in 2023, hopefully not too far away. Yep. And as I said, we'll have our collab together with Stephanie and Adam at some point in the first quarter. And we'll have a lot of fun stuff coming up. So yeah, definitely check out Adam's channel. Adam's channel. Anybody has a channel, check them all out. They're all great.
Yep.
And all that good stuff. All right. Well, thanks again. We'll see you all next time, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody. Bye-bye.